Hello, and there it is. So hello, there it is. Here I am. There you are. Wherever it is. Oh, hold on, just hold on 1 second. I'm hearing myself now. All right. So there it is. There you are. Wherever it is, you are. Here I am. Wherever it is, I am, and here we are. So not too much dilly dallying. We launch straight into it. We're doing this is a couple of days late, by the way, but I didn't have the window to react to it until today. This is Bayo Ononuga responding both to El Rufai's outings in the media space and IBB's book launch. So Bayo Ononuga, of course, the public voice of Tinubu. So this is essentially coming out of the presidency, responding to those two events that happened within the Nigerian cycle. So Bayo Ononuga then reacts to the Buhari book launch, El Rufai, and other matters. So we watch this clip now. And we react to it together. So we pick it up from here.
Welcome back. Well, while the controversy on the tax reform bills might have died down, not so the controversies trailing the launch of the autobiography written by Nigeria's former head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, which he launched here in Abuja just last week. There have been quite a number of reactions to the book from different quarters, some coming from the family of late MKO Abiola, some coming from other quarters, but many questioning why it was that the president was also a part of this book launch. Well, we have with us this morning Mr. Bayo Ononuga, who is a special advisor to the president on information and strategy, who was no stranger to some of the events that were detailed in the former heads of state autobiography. Mr. Ononuga, it's good to see you here with us in our studios. Welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm sure that you must have been watching with very keen interest some of the feedback that has now trailed the launch of the former head of state book launch here in Abuja. Which ones have struck you the most?
Well, I think what struck me most was the final admission by the former military president.
Are you a tech business founder? Are you doing too many jobs, working too hard, but
that MK Abiola actually won the election? And I think in the book, we also now publish the results from all the
Just to pause it for a moment, it is quite a leap actually from Ajuri Ngalale to Bayo Ononuga, both in terms of their physical presentation, their physiological look, and their command of language. So, Ajuri, for all that you want to say about him, is top tier. You know, is very, very articulate, is visually presentable, is well presented in terms of sartorial elegance and all that. And Bayo Ononuga is the direct opposite. Not at all in physiological terms, the sort of face you want to attach to a regime. It is still trying to dress like Adams Oshiomhole, which went out with the 70s. And of course, his command of language, heavily laden by his interior Yoruba accent.
The states, which clearly showed that MK Abiola won the election, clearly won the election. And all these towns you read in the papers about assumed winner and all those things, we've now found that they were absolutely unnecessary. Abiola won free and fair. And So Babangida now making the admission, although coming very late, because the President Buhari had already done the needful in 2018 by...
Just as an aside, anytime I see this sort of gathering, I try to put I try to put a dollar number to this sort of gathering, and just gathered in that whatever small or medium-sized auditorium, gathered in that space is the better part of at least $250 billion. In terms of the net worth of the people gathered in that space is in excess, it's easily over $100 billion. We can comfortably say that. Dangote is there, Tinubu is there, all manners of all of them, all the looters are there. So what you're looking at now, the visuals on the screen, the people, the attendees that you're seeing assembled in that event space is the culmination of, with the exception of Buhari, who's not there, is the culmination of all of the lootings that took place. Babangida will be worth well in excess of $20-30 billion. Dangote is around about $20 billion. Tinubu will be about $15 billion. So if you start to put dollar size to the people you see assembled, that is where all our money is.
Let me say, canonizing MKO, so to say, by also giving him the highest statue in the land, which means he actually proclaimed him the winner of that election, although he was not sworn in as our president. But I think he already did the justice posthumously to MKO. So for Babangida to now admit 7 years after Buhari had already done the needful, to me, it appears superfluous, but at least, nonetheless, it was still a good admission that MK Abiola won the election free and fair.
Well, there are those who have been quite upset by that book launch. There are those who are even more upset by how, the people who attended the book launch. I think that the former Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, tried to capture the irony of the situation in his book review. He talked about how, former Nadeko, one of the Nadeko chieftains, who is now the president, he's right here with one of his former tormentors. He actually used that particular phrase.
Well, I think the former vice president got it wrong. Babangida was not really a tormentor.
I think that's one of the most idiotic statements that and it's made a lot of idiotic statements, by the way, by Ononuga. That's one of the most yet foolish ones that is yet made. Babangida is centrally, if not the preeminent tormentor of Tinubu, because Tinubu became the public face of the defense of the Abiola mandate, and the truncation of that mandate, and the person then chasing all the people fighting for that mandate with AK-47 all over both the country and the world was primarily Babangida, not Abacha, because Babangida is the public face of that administration and he had the power to hold sway. So when Osinbajo said Babangida was the main tormentor of Tinubu, who was the public face of the counter-agitation, the counter-intuition of the Buhari trajectory, of the Babangida trajectory, then Osinbajo was exactly right. So I'm not quite sure what particular malaise, what particular strap line Bayo Ononuga is trying to pander to, but it's totally and in all completion of it, so completely wrong. It's completely wrong in his assessment. Osinbajo was right. Babangida was the main tormentor of Tinubu back in those days, and for reasons known that Tinubu championing the sanctity of that election won and lost, and Babangida determined to truncate it with all of the vestiges of the powers of the state. So Babangida was the main tormentor of Tinubu back in those days.
Of President Tinubu. Don't forget that President Tinubu said in his own extempore speech that he hold Babangida as something, that he was the person who actually inspired him to come into politics. You know, when Babangida came in, he was talking about new breed politicians and so on. And Tinubu and many other people who are already technocrats or in private business and so on, all of them came out to participate in politics. That's what brought him in. And Tinubu situated, he came there to pay him that homage that he inspired him. He was elected as senator under Babangida in 1992 or so, and was there as a senator. Babangida left office in August 1993, and Tinubu was his senator. The tormenting began under General Sani Abacha when Tinubu tried to reconvene the Senate.
The tormenting actually began under Babangida, because that is when the truncation of the election took place. That was when the election was truncated. So anything then that goes to threaten then anybody agitating for that for the sanctity of that election, anything that threatens the people agitating for the sanctity of that election, it started under Babangida. So Babangida is still the preeminent tormentor of the Nadeko space, is the number one person that they were fighting. Not Abacha, because he cancelled that election. So he's the number one first person that they were fighting against.
Along with some of his colleagues in Lagos, at the whole parliament building, and then he was arrested and some other people were arrested. And at the stage, he felt his life was under threat and he had to run out of the country. As a Nadeko activist, again, Nadeko came in after Babangida left, just under Sani Abacha. So I would not say Babangida was Tinubu's tormentor in chief. I said they even know that Tinubu and Babangida had some relationship while Babangida was in office. So it was not true. It was not his tormentor.
Yeah, so while that might not be, I mean, that little detail might not be true, all of the activism that Nadeko, had to pursue would never have a reason if the elections were never annulled. So he certainly...
Look, I promise you, I put my hand on my heart that I've not pre-watched this, but exactly what I just said now is exactly what Malkwe just said there now. And I can put my hand on my heart and tell you, because I like to react to this thing in real time so that I can give you a genuine, organic reaction to it. I'd never watched this prior, but everything that I just said there in my own peculiar little way of saying things is exactly what Malkwe just said there.
They even know that Tinubu and Babangida had some relationship while Babangida was in office. So it was not true. It was not his tormentor.
Yeah, so while that might not be, I mean, that little detail might not be true, all of the activism that Nadeko, had to pursue would never have a reason if the elections were never annulled. So he certainly played a great role in the activism, in the rising activism that arose in the wake of the annulment of the June 12 elections. And while, yes, maybe that little detail was not true, there were a number of other details in terms of those who plotted coups, those who removed people from power, and, all of them seated around one table in the same room. That little irony you certainly cannot remove, can you?
Well, you cannot remove that as well. Even former head of state, General Gowon, also had his own story to tell, and so on. The fact is this, well, for me, I'm looking for President Tinubu. It's now about 30, June 12 was 1993, 32 years ago.
Indeed.
I think as a nation, we need to move, to forget certain things, so not to...
And there it is right there. The second most idiotic thing then that this guy's let me not be using the word idiotic because it's somewhat maybe a bit rude. But it's certainly the second disagreeable thing that this guy has said now. No, we don't have to move from it, and we cannot really move from it until it has been addressed, until some sort of recompense, some sort of justice has been done. This guy, Babangida, he truncated the best election that would have projected that country on a pathway that would have made us compete at this stage. If that election had gone through and we had maintained democracy all the way from 93 up till now, the country will be a vastly different country from what we have now, in all of the ramifications, in all of the stratospheres of the matrices of measure. That country will be significantly different, and the difference will be a significant, better difference. You know, that guy destroyed that country. He instituted the opening of the sort of corruption that we're seeing now was under Babangida, because prior to Babangida, if anybody stole money in Nigeria, they were running all over the world. There are people in whatever community they come from were denying them and all that. But after Babangida came in and just opened unfettered looting of the public coffers, now people that steal now are venerated and celebrated. And if they don't steal, they are chased out of their community. So whatever we are now, wherever we are now in all of the negatives that afflict that country, a lot of it traceable to the Babangida administration. So no, we cannot move away from it until some sort of justice. We actually need a sort of South African truth and reconciliation sort of panel to address that Babangida phase. And we need to institute him in the dark pages of the Nigerian history by getting some sort of conviction against him. I'm not saying throw him in prison. I don't really care if he goes to... I'd like to see Babangida go to prison. I certainly would. But I don't really care if he goes to prison or not. But I want a conviction for all of the things that he has vested upon that Nigerian state. I want a conviction instituted against the name of Babangida and some sort of recovery done to recover as much of the lootings that he looted from that country, to serve one as a balm to the wound that he inflicted on that country, to serve as a balm on to the wound that he inflicted on that country. That's one. And then to serve as a cautionary note to the future that you cannot do what this guy did and be venerated and celebrated in the manner that we just saw. That rather crass, rather vulgar, what's that phrase that we used to use back? Ras. That rather ras sort of presentation we saw the last time. So no, we don't need to move on, and we're certainly not moving on.
It's now about 30. June 12 was 1993, 32 years ago.
Indeed.
I think as a nation, we need to move. I mean, to forget certain things. So not to totally forget, but to forgive certain injustice in the past. Certain things people have done wrong. You cannot continue to hold grudges, hold resentment against certain people, and then say, no, we will not forget that person. No, you are not God. Babangida is a human being, and he made his own mistakes, even though people are saying that he didn't actually apologize for annulling that election, and he tried to put the blame on General Sani Abacha. That's not there, but as far as President Tinubu is concerned, he came there because he felt, as a former leader, as a person, he's a large-hearted politician. You can see people around him, people who have done some grievous against him in the past. They come back, he embraces them, and so on. I think he came there to just show that, as far as he's concerned, he has moved on. I said, if you look at what has happened after Babangida left office and what General Buhari did in 2018, that settled the Ebola issue. June 12 has been recognized. It's now a national holiday. President Abiola, who was the on-crown president, everybody now remembers, and if you talk about June 12, your mind goes to that man who was a symbol of that June 12. And for me, even though Abiola was not recognized, was not installed as a leader, President Tinubu was just showing that he's large-hearted and that he has moved on.
Yes, but how do the families who were hurt as a result of the activism, for the many people whose lives were disrupted, for the many people who lost family members, loved ones in that crisis, how do you think that the president can appeal to them. Do you think that it is enough for the president to just attend and say, well, I have forgiven him personally? What about them?
He attended as president of Nigeria. There was a book launched by a former leader of Nigeria, and you see the
No, I agree with the trajectory, with the undercurrent or under sentiment of Malque's question there. It is not within Tinubu's gift, president or not, to forgive Babangida. It is completely outside of the realms of his gift or his powers to forgive Babangida. So Babangida needs to he needs to have his day with history, you know. So hold on. Yeah, Babangida needs to have his day with history, you know. So all this nonsense that Tinubu forgave him, therefore you know, no, it's not within Tinubu's gift to forgive Babangida, certainly not. You know, I was just checking the spelling of Ononuga, actually. I think I spelled it wrong. It's Onanuga. So I'll correct that at some point. But no, it's not within Tinubu's gift to forgive Babangida. He can forgive him in his own personal capacity. Whatever Tinubu feels Babangida did that grieves him is within his own gift to forgive him for that. But it is certainly not within Tinubu's gift or powers to forgive Babangida on behalf of the country. No. The country wants justice against that guy. It's as simple as that.
The galaxy of former leaders who also came. General Gowon, President Goodluck, Obasanjo, and Absalom Abubakar, they all came. If President Tinubu had not attended, I can imagine the headline that will come following the Tinubu snores Babangida book launch. I think he came there because he's head of state. The launch was done right there in Abuja, where Tinubu sits as president of Nigeria. So I think it owes him something to attend, to just honor him.
Yeah, but you're not making reference to those who still feel very hurt by this.
My own belief is this. I said I was part of that June 12th.
Indeed.
I was also at that book launch. As a human being, I cannot continue to hold grudges against people decades, more than 3 decades after the act. I think it's time for us as a nation to move on. No, you're not going to forget. You can forgive certain things. Look at Nelson Mandela. He was jailed for so many years and he came out of prison. He forgave those people who put him in jail, who oppressed him, and many other leaders of ANC and so on. You can see even Pope John Paul II, somebody who tried to assassinate him, he forgave him. So to me, as a human being, as maybe my own nature, I cannot hold grudges for long. I believe that all of us, even as Christians or Muslims, we have a duty to forgive those who have wronged us. And that's my appeal you cannot unmake what was done. Can you unmake the assassination of Kudrat Abiola, for instance?
You cannot undo what was done, but you can get redress, or you can get some sort of some sort of justice against what has been done. What about the families of so many families destroyed, so many people killed? The Mamam Vatsa and his family. That family was destroyed completely under that phantom coup that Babangida leveled against him and then set on to kill that guy. So should the family of Mamam Vatsa, should they then just move on? Because Tinubu has gotten his prize and he doesn't care anymore. And then Bayo Ononuga is telling us to rest it all in religion and all that. And even all sorts of satellite unknown voices and unknown people that this guy killed. You know, all these orcas and just so many lives lost under that space. And this guy is telling us to move on. No, it is not. This is getting to be an annoyance, actually. No, you forgive him within your own personal experience or relationship with him, but don't invite me to do that. No. It affects Babangida, you know, all of us living abroad now, all of you suffering in Nigeria, all of the reasons why our lives are the way they are now is still directly traceable to Babangida. Because if he had not destroyed that country, all of our journeys in life would have been different. And this bald-headed whatnot from the interior, some Amala munching character, is telling us that no, Tinubu he has gotten his price now, so everybody move on. No, I'm sorry, doesn't work that way.
The deed is done, but it's time to forgive. That's the way I see it. President Tinubu came there and said to honor President, former military leader, not that he has forgotten what happened. In fact, he came there with a speech which he didn't read. Instead, he chose to speak extempore, because he said he wanted to speak more from the heart. He didn't read that speech because he felt General Babangida had already answered some of the nagging questions he wanted to ask him. If he had read his own speech about why did he annul the election, for instance, what was the reasoning? But I said, Babangida may not have given very satisfactory answer to that question. To Nigeria, of course, you can see the way people were attacking him and all kinds of things. But at least for me, the simple fact that, and for President Tinubu, the simple fact that the man admitted finally and even showed the figures that former MK Abiola won that election. To me, I think that was enough.
Let's go to Lagos. I know Ayo has questions for you.
Thank you, Malkwe. Mr. Ononuga, it's good to see you. One of the fondest memories for me, and
the one thing that's always befuddled me about this guy on the screen right here, is the way he always looks constipated. I think he's trying to put on a serious face with that frown that he wears permanently. If that attempts to look serious actually makes him look constipated, like he needs the toilet or something. But he thinks he's putting up a professional face, looking serious and looking intellectual.
of course, perhaps for you as well, is the journalistic activism, the role that the press played between 1993 and 1999. In fact, maybe even before 1993, because there are those who will say there was a lot of pressure from the media that saw the military decide eventually to evolve and sustain what eventually came to be the Fourth Republic after the truncation of the Third Republic. I know you have some tales to tell, but would you say we have learned our lessons as a people, particularly in terms of what the power of the media to shape narratives and to compel stuff to get done for the people of Nigeria?
Well, that's a very loaded question. As a journalist, I think what keeps some of us worried is that the media has not been doing what it's supposed to do. For instance, you find a lot of things going wrong in the media. You find even some of our coverage, the lack of depth in what we report, the lack of understanding what we report, and sometimes you just find that the media they are not doing the right thing. They're not even asking the right questions about what is going on in our country. And then you find sometimes of sensationalism about events and so on. Even some media platforms thriving on falsehood, and just because they want to have traffic on their side and so on. So this is one of the things going on. The Nigerian press, we were born out of activism right from the First Republic, even before the First Republic, the media played a lot of role, an important role, very pivotal role in our struggle for independence, and we carried this on to the military rule. So in India, I know I found one thing, because I said you are a product. You are all the media was a product of the activism that we saw in the First Republic or even before independence. So, but I said things have totally changed now. You have democracy in place. The media cannot be seen to be pulling down democracy. The media has to be seen as a partner in progress, as a partner of this democratic dispensation. That's the kind of role we should see.
Yeah, you would understand, sir, the challenge of having to glean, literally scavenge for information. Perhaps the challenge sometimes is the fact that the authorities do not communicate as opposed to just giving out information. It is one thing you know very well to give out information to people. It's another thing altogether to communicate with the people, because the information people get is not usually what they expect, because they don't feel like they belong in the flow, so to speak. Perhaps the challenge is that authorities don't speak. Authorities don't give information. People have to literally scavenge for information. The trust quotient has greatly reduced over the years. Consequently, whatever government says, people take it with a pinch of salt. Do you see a way to reverse all of that?
No, I don't agree with you. Number one, the laws of the land have made things easier for our profession. We have the Freedom of Information Act. If you go to a public office and they're not willing to give you information, you have a right to formally write that office that you needed that information. And I've seen some media platforms using that law to get information from the public officials. And then there's a proverb that says, "Seek, ye shall find." Continue to knock on the doors of public officials that you want XYZ information. And I'm sure you will get it. Don't say because somebody has not spoken with you and then you go and paint a wrong perspective about what has happened or about a particular issue. That will be wrong. We need to exercise some patience and just not jump into publishing what has not been authenticated by the right people. I will implore our journalists to be patient at times in publishing news, to at least try to confirm a lot of things. There are so many ways you can confirm. If an official is not willing to talk, maybe you must find a way. You must try to find a way to make sure that you don't just run away with a wrong impression about certain issues. Well, so I said, in summary, the law is there to support us, and we should always try to get information, always knock on doors. Get that information. And I've seen some media platforms make issue, that will be wrong. We need to exercise some patience and just not jump into publishing what has not been authenticated by the right people. I will implore our journalists to be patient at times in publishing news, to at least try to confirm a lot of things. There are so many ways you can confirm. If an official is not willing to talk, maybe you must find a way. You must try to find a way to make sure that you don't just run away with a wrong impression about certain issues. Well, so I said, in summary, the law is there to support us, and we should always try to get information.
No, I was pardon me, I was just saying I was muted. Look how expensive this guy's wristwatch looks. It looks like a Richard Mills or a Patek or something like that. So I was reflecting then how a jobbing journalist can afford a wristwatch that is this expensive. So these are the rewards then of all these gas deals that Tinubu has been doing.
Always knock on doors.
Well, you know that the dynamic, you know that the dynamics have greatly changed over the years. Now there is that so-called citizen journalism where everyone, trained or untrained, so long as you have a phone and you have a camera, you can put out information, irrespective of, whatever it is, whether it is right or wrong, false narratives go out there from time to time. One of which is the case around the tax reform bills, which thankfully, it seems like everyone is on board with at this moment. But what do you think Nigerians need to know about the tax reform bills that probably is not out yet, especially since the public hearing is on?
Well, I think the tax reform bills, the committee that the president set up to reform our tax laws, the committee has been out there without any holds barred, without holding anything back, to try to tell Nigerians what this law contains. Don't forget, it's 4 bills packed in one, and it's supposed to be a very game-changing tax law that will change so many things in our country, that will be, at the end of the day, to the benefit of this country in terms of revenue that accrue to the states, what will come to the center in terms of having more efficient collection of revenue. It's a shame that our country, as of today, we are not even collecting 10% of our GDP, and I think we are among some of the lowest countries collecting the tax that we ought to collect. And this will change once we have the tax laws in place. Everybody's hopeful. You can find out the governors who were initially against it, I think they have been enlightened enough to find that there is nothing really dangerous about the bill. It will favor all parts of the country, all our citizens, and it will be better for all of us.
This was after the adjustments were made.
Yeah.
Is it because the compromise we reached on VAT?
No, not the compromise. It's just a matter of educating them, enlightening them about what the law contains, so that, and then when they saw everything, they saw the full picture.
No, Mr. Ononuga, we understand that there was actually a readjustment of the VAT sharing formula, which was the bone of contention for the governors who were afraid that the headquarter effect was going to come in, were to go ahead the way the tax reform bills had proposed. The
VAT is a proposal, and of course, the tax committee did not expect everything. Everything it wrote in that law, we just passed through the parliament as if the parliament is a tabula rasa or something. They expect that they should be scrutinized. So what they did, all the meetings held with the governors, forum, and the governors also laid their affairs. There's something really, they are not saying, oh, we are going to bring the VAT 15%, or this distribution pattern, or the one they call the origin, the where the money is coming from and so on. Mm-hmm. They are saying no. If it even favors them more, if you use MTN service in Kano or so, instead of revenue coming to Lagos, it comes to Kano. The VAT that will be charged and so on. So the committee was able to allay off kinds of fears, so that people now saw some merit in what is being proposed. That's what is going on.
Yes, while the education was done, the enlightenment was done, what I'm saying is that we saw the concrete rearrangement of VAT as now being proposed in the new tax reform bills. Wasn't that what contributed to them accepting it?
Well, it may be part of it, but I'm saying that the governors, after some series of sessions with them, all the issues, all the misgivings they had, they were all trashed, and everybody came on board.
Well, politics is beginning to come on board very quickly, and I'm sure that you must have seen one of the president's political allies very quickly. Looks like he's no longer an ally. What is happening with former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai? He's granted an interview very recently where he's talked about how he was rejected at the National Assembly, and he says that it wasn't the National Assembly that rejected him. It was the president.
Hey, business owner, why is selling a service so damn hard?
Well, I think as a person, I think I will pity former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai.
Pity.
It feels odd that he was not made a minister. I think it's a long time now. The ministers he came in August 2023. I think it's time for him to move on. You cannot continue to behave like a child, as if somebody stole your bread and things like that, and then you are crying over a spilt milk, as you say. It's natural for him to feel hurt. It's natural for him to feel bad that he's been excluded. And I think as the president acknowledged in the recent birthday tribute to him, Nasiru actually helped a lot in installing President Tinubu. And if he's not there, it doesn't mean that he must bring down the roof.
No, but clearly something has gone wrong in their relationship. What has happened?
The president has nothing had the most against Nasiru. I said Nasiru feels naturally hurt that he has been excluded. And that's why he's going about everywhere campaigning against the president and so on.
For all of the things that Bayo Ononuga has said wrong, this is the one thing that he is saying right. I think universally, we all know that it's sour grapes. What is playing out with El Rufai? El had no fury like a woman scorned. So this is what is playing out. This guy was used and abandoned, publicly humiliated, and is lashing out. So that is all that is going on with El Rufai, nothing outside of that. Because if you look at all that El Rufai has been saying publicly, he has not yet found the window to criticize how this present administration is administering the Nigerian space. He's not found the window to criticize them on policy positions. So his criticism mainly is that they are now holding neck meetings, which they've now held with their own internal party, and whatever it is, yet they're not taking the North along, even though the majority of the administration are actually from the North. So he has not really found anything of substance or of potency or of penetration that underpins what he sees as his gripe. So then it can only then narrow to personal interest, somebody feeling scorned. So, and that is exactly what Ononuga is saying here.
It shows a man who resented being left out of the moving train, and he will not let go. But my advice to him, as a brother, as a former governor, should just appeal to him that he should forget it. If he's not made a minister, he's been in public service since 1999.
You think this is about him being made a minister? Do you think this is about him being made a minister?
I think it started from there. The hurt came from there.
Yes.
But father was not made a minister. That's why you can see what he's been saying. Even yesterday, in an interview with Arise TV, he made mention of this, saying that it was the president that blocked him and things like that.
But clearly, he is also dissatisfied with how the government is being run, as are many Nigerians.
I think that's his own opinion. Whatever opinion he has about government is personal to him. It does not. It may not. To me, it doesn't reflect reality. This government inherited a lot of problems. And if you look at the figures and everything, what we are witnessing, things are getting better. We are certainly not where we were in 2023. This government, this administration has done a lot of things to re-engineer the economy. And we are seeing the figures. We are seeing the positive figures. We are seeing inflation coming down. We are seeing foreign exchange reserve growing. We are seeing so many positive things.
We're seeing inflation coming down because inflation numbers, I mean, the GDP was rebased. We saw that.
The GDP has not even been rebased. I'm not even talking about what the MBS did. The figures are coming down. What the MBS did also have a new base year for CPI, consumer price index, or so they call it, and then to now say, look, this is the new figure. It does not mean that inflation has really reduced that way. What I'm saying is, if you go to the marketplace, you will find that prices are coming down.
For those Nigerians who still feel who are still, struggling, what would you be saying to them? Because yes, you might be looking at the larger figures, and yes, maybe some aspects of the economy are improving, but many people are still finding it very difficult. What will you say to those people?
Well, I will tell them that, for instance, a practical suggestion to them. If you are doing a job, let's say you are an office assistant and you are earning the minimum wage or something, you must try to find something else to augment your income. You cannot live on one income. The Americans have a term they call moonlighting. People work in offices or they do so many jobs and they find that one line of income cannot sustain them. They need to find something else to augment it. If you have a farmland near you, cultivate it, grow your crops and so on, so they can reduce your expenses and so on. These are some of the things I think, practical things that people can do to survive the present economy. People just have to find solutions on their own to do this.
Well, I wish we had more time, to take on some of the other issues. So we have to thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Mr. Bayo Ononuga is a...
So there it is right there. So that was Bayo Ononuga in his public outing in defense of his of his of his dog handler. Let's put it that way. The master that blows the whistle for the dog to leap and jump. Pardon me. So that was Bayo Ononuga. So that was just a quick little reaction to that particular outing by Bayo Ononuga. So we'll be doing this with some sort of regularity. So tomorrow will be reacting to something going on within the public space. That reaction, no more than an hour and a half, just a short, I should say, just a short little vignette, just to touch base with the tempo and temperature of the country. So that's what's just happened now. A short little vignette to touch base with the goings on, just to keep ourselves within the loop of where the narrative is, the conversation is within the Nigerian space. So a more expansive conversation, of course, later on tonight. We didn't come out yesterday, so you're getting a double dose today. So a more expansive conversation later on. And we'll be focusing still on that economic space, the fight between Dangote and the oil marketers. Dangote now in a clear and unambiguous price war within the oil price space. And this is something that we've anticipated, we've been looking forward to, and has come very quickly upon us now. So that price war then, of course, the winners will be the Nigerian populace as the prices starts to cascade further down and further down. So we're talking about that. The oil importers have actually come out today to come and complain. So we're talking a lot about that. We'll be talking about other goings on within the Nigerian political space as well. A broad spectrum of all manners of storyline to be discussed later on tonight. So make sure you make yourself available for later, 10:45 p.m. UK time. We're coming out, so hopefully you'll come out and join us. So I'll leave it here. Catch up with you in the later session. But here I say, peace.